You.
Sorry, we
Gentlemen,
messed up your.
gentlemen, please. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mars Dota 2 League LAN final event. We are in the round robin. It's day one of 5-day event, and we are going to be hopping into, I believe, like heat number 6 or something. We have LGD.Forever Young taking on Newbee. It's an all-Chinese affair right now. And we currently have 9 out of 10 players in the lobby as we get settled in and good to go. Both these teams are currently 1-1, so they got to get more wins if they want to get in that upper bracket.
It's cool. It's like kind of a little preview for some of the matches we're going to get at TI. These teams both there.
How much prize money? I think I looked it up and I couldn't see anything about prize money.
I think it's 250K again.
Maybe they're getting Mars money.
Some Mars bucks.
Mars shekels,
Digital
something
goods.
like that.
This is this could be seen as a battle of two of the biggest hopes that China has at TI this year. Newbee, again, they've been, since they've reformed, they've been the most consistent team throughout the year in China. They went through a lull for a little bit, but then they've come back and won Zotac, performed well at a couple of lands.
Star Ladder, they're like, we're in it, boys, and they still look pretty good.
When this major patch first came out, 7.05, I believe, or 06, KP was like, hey, this is a great patch for our team. The first tournament they had on that was Star Ladder. They didn't do maybe as great as they thought they would, but that's kind of stabilized for them. So he's been proven right about the patch so far, at least within the Chinese region.
What about VGJ?
Yeah, kind of opposite.
Any word about them? Where are they going? What's happening with them? Any of those team members?
ROTK is going to. I believe he's already coaching IG, so I think he's going to go to TI. And
still going to TI, my man.
His boy Burning is
going to coach his buddy,
giving him
Burning.
a job. I like it.
Woo!
Yeah,
that's a good story there.
That team. Well, the other members of that team are playing for Vici right now. Well, not all the other members,
Just
but
FY.
FY is playing. Yeah.
He's pulling out the same thing as any Legend Stand King right now. I like that.
And Chuan is obviously Chuan's done until after TI, and Hao maybe possibly done for good. So. Well, that's what he said last time.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
We'll know when the spring rolls around next year. There's a chance to go to TI again. We'll see how it gives it the old college try once again. But that's the state of VG right now. So we've seen some. Well, LFY. Let's talk about these squads a little bit, right? So LFY, they've got the quote unquote the little boss, as they call him, Inflame as their offlaner because he is entangled with the LGD boss Ruru.
Ruru, huh? I've heard a bit about that person, Ruru, huh? On the Reddits. I go on Reddits. I hear how this person maybe not so good.
Her nickname, one of her nicknames in China is the Empress. Many
goodness.
stories surround her. I won't go into any of them, but you can find lots of stuff.
Who would be the Western Dodo equivalent
of the Empress?
Is there one? I guess I mean, not really.
No,
I'm trying to run through some of the checklist of things that someone would have to be considered. I don't think so.
Because there's no powerful owners in the Western scene. Because it's much more player driven than organization driven.
Yeah, there's no kind of tycoon style kind of rags to empire
female
type
Tom
of thing,
or something like that. I don't know.
For esports.
Yeah, that's reaching. I have no idea.
You got to hand to them. So with this team, they actually.
But they got Inflamed. Let's get back to that. They got Inflamed, and that dude is,
They got Inflamed. They got as part of their latest reshuffle, they got Afu, who they poached from WGU, who was considered the heart and soul of that team in a lot of ways. I talked to them about it at Zotac. They're like, yeah, it was devastating to have him go, but it's kind of like, we're glad that you made it to a good situation, that you landed in a really nice environment and you get a chance to grow and develop. So that was a big loss for them. You've seen him play very well on that roaming floor. Really open a lot of things up for them with different heroes as well. DDC, he's one of the veterans of the scene. So I think along with Misery, he was the second to last player to be at every single Valve event. I believe until was it the last one that he wasn't
major maybe.
Yeah, I think it was either I think it was Kiev because Boston would have been it, but I think he made it to Boston as a sub because of visa issues.
Yep.
And then Kiev he wasn't there, so that broke his string of Valve events. He's a veteran of the scene. He's usually more quiet and reserved, but in this case he's taken on more of a leadership role within this team.
Is he captaining? I see he's drafting now, so he's also kind of the captain as well.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So that's been kind of a unique thing for them. Monet, the young superstar, young 9K player who a lot of potential, both as a mid laner and as a safe lane, which he's been playing. So he's been slowly growing kind of over the year. And Super, a very steady mid player. He's been around for a long time. Those old VG squads. He's known for this patch has been good for him because he's known for being stable always. He always gets what he needs out of lane. Not super flashy.
DK Razor player.
There
you
go.
It's just you're
Potato
gonna
mid.
you'll do it. That's great. Never gonna put the ball between your legs though. That's for sure.
They call him the bun in China.
Just
they call him the
dribbling
bun,
and running up and down. Just doing the job.
Yeah.
Not nothing flashy about
Exactly. His
Super.
Chinese nickname
Super's
is,
never. I don't think Super's ever done like a flashy highlight play. It feels like the guy never's like rampage by Super sick play.
If this is
there.
basketball, he's like the fundamentals player, right? Like he doesn't dribble between the legs.
But not like Kawhi Leonard, like not that good at just I do the fundamentals and I own it. But something like I don't know, Stockton maybe.
Yeah, there
something
you
like
go.
John Stockton is Super probably for anyone sports ball players out there. I do want to roll back a couple of players because I'm always curious why I have you here. What's Afu? What's that name mean? Is it really just Afu? Just that name was kind of funny to me.
Well, Oz just is something that they have. Like if you'd say Ol or Lil or something, like just a moniker you put in front of somebody's name, right? It's kind of like that. So they have that with old, as well as like old chicken and stuff, like old this or little that.
They love to add stuff like bro and old and L and la and ah. What about foo then? What's foo? Or is it fu really? Fu.
I wish it was.
Might be.
fu.
I think it's just part of his name. I mean, he's not he's not Chinese, so I'm not entirely sure. But
all right.
well, from Malaysia, I believe.
maybe by the end of this tournament, more people will know who Afu is, and will care, and maybe want an Afu jersey someday. Looks like we're well into a draft now, gentlemen. We've gotten past the boring phase of the draft, and we got the first picks already underway. Nyx Assassin and Warlock going to be the 1-2 punch for Newbee, while LGD get the Precious Sand King, and they go right into a Raptor here. So a lot of the supports, the foundation of these lineups being established early.
Yeah.
And then the core's getting all banned out.
I mean, nothing crazy with the openers. Both
Ban
teams snagging a good roaming 4 position in the Sand King and the Nyx. And also here is that could, if you decide the draft permits it, be run in the off lane. If you really want to grab like a different 4 position hero, or you feel like a Sand King make it like a really good laning matchup.
There's been some recent small nerfs to a lot of these like dominant 4s as well. We've seen with the Clockwork and Late Stalker and the Sand King. So we'll have to see how much that affects them in this meta. In some ways, LGD is kind of taking Newbee's picks from them. This is a very reliable 1-2 opening that they've had. And then some LFY heroes. Well, these teams are similar in the sense that their drafting may not be the craziest. Like for Newbee, they usually go for these very stable lineups. They won't go for like very high degree of difficulty execution. Generally, it'll be very reliable. That's always been a trademark of theirs. For LFY, they've had a couple of kind of signature strategies we've seen through Epicenter and such. Like one of them, I've taken to calling kind of the bog because it's just the only way I can really describe what it is. Like there's just so much slow with it. Whether it's like AA, Death Prophet, which is still a possibility here, and they kind of just become this bogging death ball that just runs at you and you can't fight them. It's very that's literally Omni you see getting banned out from that. Yeah. The DK is like a super staple mid that they've been using that teams have been banning out like first or second against them.
So get him Death Prophet now instead or something. Yeah. Ooh, okay, so
They're
the Chaos Knight Kool-Aid is out for sale for sure. Everybody's feeling it.
Nice.
LGD are like, I just saw our sister team pick it, so I'm gonna pick it too. Strat Stealers.
Yeah, maybe they
But
went
that
to
was
them
more of like a, what would you say, it was like a direct lifestealer counter at the time. Why here and now, though, for LGD? It doesn't feel like you needed to be like, oh, I got to get a CK now.
Yeah, I think it's just proving to be a pretty stable, strong, improving carry. It's actually quite good against the Void because he time walks away, you just pull him back with a Reality Rift, or you can just force him out of the lane with a Reality Rift to begin with. So I think he's one of the better heroes at dealing with the Void in some ways.
We're seeing a lot more Void core recently, and we see it against heroes like, say, like the Bristle or the Veno, where like you're not really dependent on that sudden burst damage, and then he just like time walks it off. All of a sudden, it becomes very difficult to kill him. So if you look at LFY against the Void, I mean, they didn't pick necessarily specifically with the Void in mind, but with all the burst, all the silence, all the stun that they have, like they are capable of bursting him down, or at least preventing him from just freely time walking about. So especially if they believe that it's a safe lane carry Void, which looks like certainly to be.
Looks like it will be Jack. A Bat Rider comes out. So unless, you know, they're going to just suddenly throw it in the mid lane, I would imagine this is going to be a off lane Bat Rider for Senior KP. And Faceless Void, I imagine, for SC there. Or no, sorry, SC's the mid laner. But for... Wait a minute. Mugi, that's right. U9 changed his name. So he definitely wants to be Mugi now? Has that been confirmed? No more U9?
Yeah, apparently there's like an issue with like getting interviews and stuff because sites didn't want to interview him because his name was
the website
same,
thing.
yeah.
I remember you talking about that before. Okay, Moogie it is. Fair enough. I will kindly
Moogie
oblige.
has looked very new and improved since he's changed his name. I have to say, Moogie looks a little bit better than the U9 that we saw struggle for a little bit.
Did he escape the memes by changing his name, is what you're saying?
Could be. He can't flip upside down anymore, right?
They're looking
Okay.
for it though. I'm sure they have like the Chinese meme lords on it. They're
No,
like,
you-
Moogie, let me flip
you'd
it
be-
here.
you'd
I'll
be-
flip it. No, okay. What if I stick it inside a cow? Oh, whatever. If I rhyme it with the T instead, Toogie? No, that's not good enough.
The Chinese meme lords had a
Woogie.
really good one for Sumail that I can't adequately explain because you kind of so like if Sumail is not performing well, they start taking bits and pieces away from his Chinese nickname, and it becomes like three different words, and they can do that like 3 or 4 times until it becomes like stripped down to like a bare minimum, like the simplest characters. So it's hard for me to explain without getting into Chinese stuff. But
Just
it's
way
they do
too
that.
advanced for us.
It's kind of similar to how like with Ferrari they used to joke like if he wasn't doing well, the wheels were coming off, like he slowly
Oh,
becomes
yeah.
like
Yeah.
a 2-wheel cart or like a rickshaw or something.
The worse he's doing, the crappier the car kind
Yeah.
of thing.
That
He
car's
just
in the
becomes just
shop
only the
now.
wheels are left. Yeah.
Jack, is this the bog? It's looking a bit like
It's
it.
it's a boggy hero. There's a little bit too much stun for it to be fully boggy, but that is in the bog, in the spirit of the bog for sure.
Okay, so the
That is a
Vipers.
superhero through and through, though. They tried to
Yeah.
get superheroes off the board. They're like, first DK, gotta go. And then I just like casually
the
throw out
Death
Death Prophet for fun. But they're like, no, wait, he's got a point. Death Prophet's also gotta go. And then Super's like, don't worry, I got one more hero. I can just casually go through the game, not draw any attention to myself with any big plays. I can play a Viper. And then Newbee are like, you know what? We have SC God, so we have a Tinker. We're gonna do big plays.
The big thing I know, the second I see this Viper pick, I look at LFY's lap, I'm like, they are not mobile. These 3 cores are all pretty, they kind of slowly move around the map. Like the bog style, like I definitely think fits them. Like they have a few more stuns, but it's kind of like this Death Ball type lineup where they can't flash farm particularly well on any of these 3 heroes. They can't gank all too easily. They're going to be very reliant on this DDC disruptor to actually find them some picks. So Tinker is like the perfect pick to pick against a lineup that can't move around very well, that can't catch you all too easily. So they're going to have to shut down this Tinker early or he could become a big problem.
Yeah, they have a lot of mobile pickoff too to pair with them as well. That's going to be the theme, I think, the Death Ball versus the mobility. Almost a more EG style type of play maybe coming out from Newbee this time. And the bun, as Super's called, getting the potato hero mid.
The boggy ball movement. He still thinks he's on Vici from TI4, really, I guess, if that's the case. Poor guy. But I think the start of every game now, they pause and everyone warms up the chat wheel. I think that's like the new Dota tradition. So
Yeah.
we always have to kind of get through that phase. And they never tend to use them again, which is a bit unfortunate. But any other like standouts here as
meat
far
merp
as
there.
yeah, what was that?
That was the meat merp. the famous Dota 2 meat merp.
I love all the new little toys and sounds they love to add in this game. Just always keeping it ever so entertaining.
Meat merp.
Yep, just like that.
That's one of those sounds that I could hear when I'm like, I could quit Dota like in the next 2-3 years, and I'm gonna be 80. I could hear that sound and I'll instantly remember it.
Yeah.
I'll be like, that's Dota.
Meep up. Parker, go back to bed. Meep up. All right, let's get into it here. What's at stake? Both these teams are a 1-1, so just looking to get another one into the win column. Looking to get yourself at the top of this round robin into the upper bracket.
Patience from Zoe.
Double patience from Joe into this one. And is Joe still playing Dota?
He had to go on Django, was it, or one of the teams?
Yeah. Dang, I think he was a sub. I'm not sure if he
Okay.
actually played. He still plays Dota. He still streams it very actively. Just not competitively in that sense, but he still plays quite a bit. Like the Chinese kind of high-level in-house has its own set of like kind of followers and almost paparazzi, if you will, who just look at what happened in these games, who's flaming who's not giving up mid to who, stuff like that. So he's still very much actively involved in those.
It's really not fair because, I mean, us in the West used to have the luxury of, NEL and EEL and stuff where you can kind of peek in and see, like, what's fresh. I remember, like, peeking in seeing when the Yule's Scepter Shadow Fiend was starting to become a thing, and you're like, oh, okay, what's happening? Then we went into that Star Ladder, and it debuted, and we don't get to peep through that anymore. Like, so hopefully one day League play will return to the Western scene, and we can all enjoy the griminess of the pubs and what these pros do between these big events.
League play is going all right in China. CDEC's had a couple very stable seasons. A lot of Western pros, when they come to China, they'll want to play in CDEC as long as there's an active season. And there's still a good number of players, so that's probably like the best and most active in-house league in the world that's still going.
Dream League, hello.
Well, like
And
I'm
you
talking
count
about
Dream League as
individual
in-house.
player leagues.
Yeah.
No, not like a team league, you know.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, let's get into the action here. Doesn't look like we're going to be seeing too much action here. No heavy early smoke movement, just some respectful ward play here. Mid-ward, almost carbon copies from each side, it would appear. But now
Top
move
lane.
in from LFY saying we want to claim up the bounty here. So they'll roll the Sand King and the Tidehunter together, but the stun goes out, it pops up, and it is going to be Afu who picks up the bounty. LFY will take 3 of the 4. But if they have the same luck as EG, that means they lost. So, you know,
Bad news.
bad news for them.
I'm curious if this Chaos Knight's going to go that same build. That's what I am most interested to see.
Then they're definitely copycatters for sure.
Well, maybe it's one of those things where the fact that it happened last game makes me think it may just be a meta thing in China, that's the Chaos Knight build. I did some like Dota buff looking up between games because there was a Chaos Knight pick or two in NA for the qualifiers, and they all maxed Chaos Bolt. I was like level 7 max Chaos Bolt, no points in passive, 2 points in Reality Rift, the standard CK build.
Interesting choice from Kaka here. I like this on support Nixus, getting the mana burn first, because whether you're, say, zoning a hero that needs that mana to spam you or stay alive, or you're here in lane against like a hero like Disruptor who's very inefficient level 1 mana usage on the Thunderstrike, and then if you mana burn him once or twice, he pretty much doesn't have a harass tool anymore. It's an interesting pickup for level 1 Nixus.
Yeah, I kind of like in this offlane Nyx that just kind of just walks down there as a support. The poor man shield means he can just sit here. He has crazy health regen. They can't really bully him out. It's going to be a tough dual lane to deal with. And it frees up the Tinker. It means Tinker doesn't have to worry about those support rotations, because if LFY want to get their Chaos Knight farm, they're going to have to keep at least one, maybe both supports down bottom in order to do so.
Yeah, otherwise the bat just runs him over, especially if he doesn't get Chaos Bolt. He can't stun the bat coming at him. He's got the reality. Ring.
He's already got
level
one.
He's already got level 1, yeah, so.
We're already seeing a different Chaos Knight build.
Or the correct one, I don't know, either way.
I
Either way, LGD got a win in that last one, so maybe it's new meta.
think he
don't
should have
know.
gone 1-4-1 at least. Like I don't like the second point in the Chaos Strike and the third. He didn't get stunned until level 9 or something. But I think maxing Reality Rift is fine. That makes sense.
Monet has got Chinese Eternal Envy potential. This is a very young, good core player, and he is, by all accounts, an anime lover, an anime nerd of EE proportions. So.
Oh, wow.
Is there similarities in playstyle, would you say?
Maybe not as much, but I mean, again, a very young player. He's got some fresh ideas on some stuff, a little bit like me. So there's a sense of that, a little bit.
So he's a weak. That's really what we got for that.
Yeah.
Fu is in trouble potentially in the bottom lane. Makes a long cross-country run from the Newbee side and only gets hit with a couple of sticky stacks. Nothing too serious. No hard commitments and some pump fakes coming out of that rift.
Nice thing about, I mean, you definitely want Chaos Bolt this lane because you've got Magic Stick. You've got unlimited mana. Like there's definitely no mana problems to justify not getting a stun on Chaos Knight. We'll see if he starts to use it. He has got 10 stick charges to play around at this bottom lane. But it seems like for now the two teams just kind of eyeing each other off, neither looking to engage down bottom. Similarly up top, Tide is kind of just holding his own.
Lots more laning respect being shown here, it looks like.
Yeah.
So.
They've got the triple Magic Sticks for LFY, so even though they're being mana burned, they're going to have that at least decent amount of sustain to bring the mana back up should they need it for a brawl.
I would be concerned now because as the levels come in for LFY, they have better opportunities like this one. Bottom lane, two-man stun on the follow-up after the rift, but they can't quite get the finish. KP takes to the burning skies and flies over the haters and down through the river.
No 2-second stun. He rolled the dice and
now he's like, I'm never gonna level that stun again.
yeah, top lane. Meanwhile, Tide is going to be first blood.
Catch that one.
Looks like they just chased him down with some Time Lock, Orb of Venom, and early Fatal Bonds, actually. No upheaval.
My goodness,
okay.
Afu, I've seen him snag 3 bounty runes under the nose of Newbee already this game. And
He's
now
gonna
he's
get
walking
killed?
Kaka home.
Or maybe...
Take this. Caustic
Die.
present.
Spend your
fool.
money. Oh, he doesn't get the kill.
No, we're not going to kill and he's still going to live on.
Pro Man Shield. Good item.
Got that bounty, though.
Level 1 caustic damage nerf.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. That was... Sanking actually receives some of the biggest nerfs. 45 to 20 damage, level 1. Quite.
The price you pay when you're the pick of an event or tournament or qualifier. Sorry. Frog doesn't care. You had a good... Oh, you had a good qualifier? All right, well.
Compared to like Nyx, who lost like 5 movement speed. I feel like the Sanking nerf definitely hits a bit harder. 5 movement speed still as a roaming 4 position.
Oh,
is
smoke
least
right
noticeable.
behind. But they've already crossed paths with Afu here. Not the target they were hoping to get a hold of, but they're going to commit forward anyways. There's the stun. They're looking to fly over him, but he does burrow to the high ground and will try to make a hasty retreat. Maybe with a couple more stacks, they could have burned through with some extra magic damage potential, but it looks like Afu was at least doing good in tanking the gank.
Nice escape there from Afu. And another word on Monet, his name in Chinese, another meme is, well, Monai in Chinese means basically to cop a feel. Or
Oh, goodness.
grope, so he's like, I guess
He's a
you'd call him-
pervert?
Jeez.
Well,
What?
not that he is, but that's just the
People
phonetics
touch him?
for his name.
Is he touching people,
So
or is
it's
people
Monet,
touching him
it's
there, Jack?
Monai, that's,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So he's
Copperfield.
the groper?
No word on whether he himself is a groper. His name, you know,
Just happens to have a name that is...
it can't be misinterpreted as the groper.
That sounds like the level of English nicknames from Twitch chat. You know, that one's not very good. I'm not a fan of that one, Jack. That sounds like the no brain kind of nicknames that we come up with for like No Tail or the Soufail. You know, it's like, come on, like that's not very clever. Those are the low hanging fruit of nicknames.
That's true. That's true. I just tell it like it is.
No,
I don't come up with them.
That's fine, that's fine. I just picture like some Chinese English analyst like on a Chinese desk being like, oh, yeah, this is the wonderful curated Twitch nickname we come up for Johan. And I'm just like, I hope the Chinese community does not see this, you know?
I don't think the Chinese meme overlords came up with that one, probably.
Yeah.
That was probably some lower meme squire. It's like, nah, he's a groper.
I love the voices you give to the different levels of gamers.
It's
I
just
want like a
various-
full like 4-tier voice.
Scariest neckbeard voices I come up with. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Pugna. Yeah, various neckbeard voices bring me joy. 2-0, very very calm, early methodical kind of game here. LFY had a bit of an awkward laning phase at the start with the approach of Newbee here at the bottom, but obviously things have tipped better in their favor. The levels have come together, and now it's kind of a bit awkward for some of Newbee's supports. I don't know. What do you think? For like Kaka on this Nyx assassin, so, you're walking around, you're mana leaking people, but how long are you doing this for?
Get some kill. Oh, misses Stone DVC. And
Maybe
they
went
may
for a
pay the
2
price.
Monet, though, steps in, tries to grope some heroes here, gets the pullback onto the bat. KP, though, is going to be fine. Even with a Thunderstrike, he's still flying on forward. And here comes Moogie. Just as he time walks in, he's going to get glimpsed right back out. And Afu still under the gun. 4 stacks, and the right click will be there. And KP, who they were trying to jump the bones of, is going to be the one walking away with the kill here.
There are so many magic stick charges flying around everywhere with all the fighting and spell spam going on. And Newbee do get themselves another kill. They come out slightly on top.
Nice rotations from LFY so far. It's usually Newbee that like usually gets numbers these kind of fights, but LFY has done a pretty good job of matching them. Like you'll see, like they have no qualms about just leaving a lane empty or just really bringing the cavalry to any of these fights. Newbee are so good at doing that usually. So
around mid lane, Chaos Knights found Kaka.
Knocks him with that stun. Kaka goes for the TP out. Will they hit him with enough damage? Yes, they will. Super steps over and simply right-clicks him down.
Mid lane, Viper Strike on Tinker.
Uh-oh, big action from Super. These are the flashy plays we come to know from Super. My
Dude, that
God,
was
big skill from Viper there. Gets the takedown. Top
I'm
lane.
going to give him some credit. That was a sick play.
Stun and a Ravage, all for KP.
That was actually a sick play from Super. He saw the Tinker was just short mana for Laser. If he has a Laser there, he turns, kills the Viper. Viper can't do that against Laser, but Tinker was like 3 mana short of using Laser, and I'm like 99% sure Super saw that. I'm a fan of that play. I mean, he didn't do it. He just used his spells, but you know that's
You're
all
giving
you
him.
do
You're giving him the
sometimes.
credit that he looked at the mana,
Yeah.
quickly calculated in that instance.
I mean, I think a lot of players may not know the exact mana cost of level 3 laser.
We'll accept that. Does he? I don't know if he plays tank, but we'll accept.
Yeah.
Regardless, though, a couple of kills go in the way of LFY, and suddenly we're back even. But suddenly, Newbee committing it with a chrono in the top lane. They get the takedown of Afu, and the kills go back their direction.
Yeah, Moogie going for a pretty early game fighting build for now. The treads into Mask of Madness.
Mask of Madness.
Mixed feelings on the Mask of Madness.
We saw it earlier today, or the other crew were casting a game with a Faceless Void Mask of Madness, and it was not very pretty in that game.
I mean, I saw that wasn't S4 on it because he played the offlane Void. Or was that the game
There was one where it was used as a safe laner against Meepo. I think they beat OG with it. It was
LGD.
That did it? Yeah.
Oh, they did win.
Alright.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's almost like come full circle, right? You used to see that build on Void all the time. You'd have like the Maelstrom and or Mask of Madness. You go get solo kills, and it was nice to kind of see
it's
that
just
again.
tough because like what they were saying is just like now he can spam out some spells, and is the value of the silence there when you're. Would love to get some time dilations and potential time walks out.
Yeah, I mean you use it like you time walk in, you time dilate, then you instantly Mask of Madness, or you pop it in a chrono, of course.
Looks like they have got the jump onto Kaka here. A support just kind of crossing his way back under the tower, but do they have enough firepower? They'll have to use the glimpse back. The Carapace slows him down, but finally they will get their man.
He's there to help him out as well. Bottom lane, meanwhile, solo kill. Monet maybe having some crits or something there. Reality Rift, he's maxed it out. This level 4 Reality Rift is actually, it scales so much better than the stun does. -7 armor, 6-second cooldown. This, I'm actually so convinced this is the spell to max at level 7 from what we've seen.
Yeah, when you get level 4 of that skill, you can actually stack the armor reduction, as you mentioned.
Super is
Cooldown's
trying
short
to
enough to do
sidestep the stuns. They commit him with the rock. He ends up eating the damage, but he's shrugging off the damage. Decides to even turn it back around as Moogie's jumping in, and that's a rock committed and no kills at all for Newbee.
Yep. LFY have got Ravage back up if they want to get Tide involved now as well. They may just want to, shrine up with the Viper, the Chaos Knight. They've got this armlet, so they're very strong and scary right now, and this is definitely a timing for LFY to try and fight. The only thing they're missing really is DDC's Disruptor ultimate. He's just got his Tome though, and there we go. He hits level 6. Everything they need comes kind of online at the same time, and they can force some towers and at least force some fights here with the Warlock ultimate down. This is definitely the time to go in my mind.
So checking in on our boy SC here and his Tinker. It's still going to be a little bit before we even get to see his ruby red shoes come out. So it's a bit of a stall period for this Tinker, because even after you pick that up, you still have to even get the Blink Dagger before you can like securely move through those side lanes. But I guess the big threat on the LFY side would be the Disruptor and the Sand King once he finishes this Blink Dagger.
See the Chaos Knight move back towards bottom lane. See if we can find the Bat Rider again.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
So he found him. Pulls him with that Rift. There's the stun. How many shots? It would take 4. He gets the glimpse, and DDC KS's it. No, he helps set it up and get the finish.
Really nice thing about this crit is that you do lifesteal off of it. So even though maybe it doesn't scale incredibly well, it's more damage, which means more lifesteal. And with the armlet taking away your HP, it's nice to have a way to regen it back up.
And he's doing the Echo Saber as well. Oh, Warlock. Just unfortunately the wrong place at the wrong time. Walks right up into the high ground thinking it's safe, but Super and Afu are both there waiting for him.
Patience from LFY just setting up on that cliff, waiting to see who comes sauntering through, and it is indeed the Warlock.
Poor little guy.
More of it.
Doesn't even have a rock, so LFY can just continue fighting.
Oh, again bottom. They've gone in on KP. He's chain feed.
Oh my goodness. As he returns, he tries to dish out the lasso, but it is going to be way too late. We're back at the top lane now because we got a Inflamed Tidehunter now trapped between 3. They're going to even commit the Chrono to try to burst him down. He still has that mech, but they got enough firepower that they can take out the Watermelon Man.
Maybe okay with Chrono down. You just respawn, TP bottom with your team. You can take a tier 2 even, theoretically. Although Tinker may be a little tricky to push into.
They do have DDC's ult, Stack Storm, also up and ready to go here.
love to find a glimpse target, but not sure whether that'll present itself.
Yoink, got that bounty rune, and an invis rune going to be picked up by Afu on your Sand King. So we'll see. They might get a setup on the mid lane. I also heard the Vendetta go out. So let's see. KP, current chain feeder, unfortunately, still feeding here. It looks like possibly mid lane. Oh, he is dead for sure.
He's 1 and 5, and that was 3 deaths in like the last 2 minutes. Right upon it, it's so bad. He's probably looking at this like he spent the last like 70, like of the last 2 minutes, he spent more than half of it dead.
He's 1800, so how close has he been to this Blink Dagger?
Every time he respawns,
oh man,
finds a lane where he's like, oh, I'll finish it, and then he gets ganked. He's not progressing.
Yeah, he might just settle in or go for a jungle camp or two at this point to finally finish up that Blink Dagger.
It's hard because you've got other teammates farming. Like if someone like a Void can apply pressure somewhere on the map, you can get that free into farm. But with Chrono down, Void's also just farming. Tinker mostly just wants to farm as well. SCC doesn't have a blink, isn't really... I mean, he's not going to be leading fights anyways. It really is just the Nyx and the Void who can kind of be the front runners as far as starting fights off and roaming around. And
yeah,
Void doesn't want to roam.
They want to be the ones getting pickoffs, right? Especially if you're Nyx bad. And, they don't necessarily want these big organized 5-on-5s with LFY. They're obviously going to have the Tinker to like hold objectives and high ground for as long as possible before the LFY death ball gets to them.
Definitely the good news is that this Tinker is not very farmed. I feel like that was the one hero they're going to struggle to deal with this game, but they have managed to pressure his lane to a decent extent.
Yeah, he needs a couple more items before he becomes that kind of a problem. And is this the kind of a Tinker game with all these illusions and such, going for the Ags and just hoping to laser back like CK?
Yeah, it's going to be a great counter to the CK and his illusions and his ability to fight. He's going to have to just rely on like a BKB.
Yeah.
And then even then his illusions won't do a whole lot. But his hero is still, we saw last game,
yeah,
a BKB CK can still go off.
That is for sure. LFY now rummaging on through, have smoked, got a nice deep ward down, making the hard cut.
Thought
right
they were going to catch KP there, but yeah, they managed to just barely, narrowly miss him.
Thankfully for KP, it looks like he will finally finish that Blink Dagger.
Yeah.
Kaka, however, close to potential trouble here. This mid lane tier 2 is under heavy assault from LFY, and it could be quick to spring into action if not careful, but it looks like Newbee are starting to bring over some rotations now as the tier 2 is under a bit of pressure. SC is trying to creep a bit closer with some marches, try to push him back a bit. Meanwhile, bottom lane, it is going to be Moogie finishing out the tower. Afu has already rotated over, but this Faceless Void should make it away with the extra money, no problem, and he is hoping to pull it all together into a Maelstrom next.
This is a LFY lead, but I think they're going to... I mean, they can take these outer objectives, but they're going to really struggle at breaking high ground against Tinker. Newbee have this great pick-off potential. The Void, Tinker is kind of like the Void Invoker. He can just go around, find a Chrono by himself, Tinker TPs in, finishes off the kill, so they've got this really easy to execute lineup as far as finding those kills go. So I think LFY do need to continue to press their advantage and try and find picks. Like Tide getting a Blink Dagger is going to be key. The lack of catch is going to be the biggest issue for them.
Ooh, Kaka just popped out from an invis, goes into Vendetta. They try to drop a sentry. They will see the ward. Kaka has already distanced himself from potential trouble. Newbee don't really get a lot with their movement in, but they have forced LFY to pretty much have all hands on deck into the bottom half of that map. So they're stalling things out a bit. Newbee, you think the game scales on, it just gets better for him in the late game, or do you think the CK could still just be the true late gamer here?
I think it gets better for them. Between Fatal Bonds and Tinker, between their ability to, I think, just be more efficient at this point, to split farm a little bit, get more off the map in different lanes, whereas LFY are kind of encouraged to death ball, so if anything, they'll death ball for Roshan probably very soon, and then after that maybe try to make a move onto high ground. But you know, obviously, like the blink was going to come sooner or later from KP. That's going to make it a little bit harder to park the Viper in front and hit objectives with the team standing behind him. It's because you have that kidnap ability. So I'm not sure if Newbee will contest this. Maybe they use this opportunity to push the lanes out and try to get some more vision. But if they don't contest this, I would expect LFY to give it a go very shortly afterwards.
Yep. LFY, slow and steady. They take Roshan as Kaka swoops in a little bit too late. He isn't even headed that direction. Did that without any sentries.
Courier, though. Get it. Does head out the other direction, though. Can he catch it off? Come on, boy, get it. Yeah.
Nice.
Makes you feel a little bit better.
Let's go for the TP. Ward TP, potentially.
He had no items.
Uh-oh.
Hi. Oh, goodness. Now you're not going anywhere. DDC will glimpse you.
Now, he knows there's a ward up there, I'm pretty sure, too.
Yeah, can he catch out Kaka? Kaka's going for the TP. DDC doesn't see him, actually. Nix makes his narrow escape.
Nice little juke, but perhaps losing his ward will mean it's not really... His journey there, it doesn't really achieve a whole lot.
Hey, you got that courier. Don't forget that.
That's true. Oh, yeah, the courier's actually...
Courier makes it work. Oh, down below. KP trying to TP out. Oh, he is back home, but is he going to stay alive? Oh, the fountain is blessing him with lots of regen there. Did he have to get anything else to help that one? No, but whew, Super just had mercy.
Yeah. See where this Viper goes next. He's going to finish off his Hurricane Pike. I do feel like Viper as a core scales late game a lot better than he used to with the introduction of talents. He's got some pretty nice late game oriented ones, health, agi, attack range, and then you get this plus 20 armor. If you kind of combine all those things together, you're actually looking at a much more potent Viper in the late game.
As long as he doesn't get hit by a laser.
Yeah, he'll MKB or BKB at some point, even a Manta style. He'll definitely get an item to deal with the Tinker.
Yeah, outside of that, then he's good.
Definitely looking like a very passive game from the newbie side. They do not really want to team fight.
Just a lonesome little warlock who happened to be crossing the street.
He spent his money. I mean, he got his Midas, which he's probably like, man, I didn't get to use my Midas, but at the same time, at least you bought your Midas.
Yeah.
So he'll be able to use that on respawn. Newbie definitely just want to play for the late game. Don't really care about kills. They just want to stall this game out as much as possible.
Monet's eating a lot of damage here from the March. Has to be a bit careful here as they try to chunk their way through that tier 2. A trade is possibly in order here from Newbee as they have their own pressure coming in through the bottom lane. Moogie has that Maelstrom, as you can see, flexing it about. Looking to go straight for the Mjolnir. Closer to the Hyperstone pickup, it would appear. The rest of LFY, who are hanging around the mid lane, are now making their own rotation down to the bottom side. They're sending in Inflame first, along with Super. I don't know, maybe if they had the opportunity to catch a straggler, they could ravage, but Newbee are not looking to fight right now.
Yeah, it's so hard to catch. They've got the Sand King Blink at least. That makes life a little bit easier, but Newbee are just going and splitting wherever LFY are not. Sand King's starting to disrupt your ultimate. They may catch Moogie here.
They need a bit of vision. Stag Storm is going to be dropped, so they can't time walk his way out from this. They're going to commit the rock in. It hits the 3 of them with a good Fatal Bond, but if there's nothing else, then you've just, well, committed your rock and Fatal Bond for nothing. And the rock goes down just like that.
Well, he might save him. Saves him, it's definitely worth it there. He may even turn it around with a time walk into Chrono, but that is tough for Newbee.
You know, KP is flying nearby, narrowly avoids trouble again. He's got his Blink Dagger, but there was no, Blink Dagger debut moment for Batrider in this game. That window seemed to be totally gone, and this is the moment of the what? The bog? Is that what you said? The bogs? The bog?
The bog fast approaches, man. When
the
you
bog.
Start losing those towers that once juicy farmland that you possess is just crept on by the bog.
The big bog is here. And it's creeping through
Especially
your game.
with Warlock ult down. I mean, I feel like they really have an opportunity here to close things off, get up that super aggressive map vision at the very least, maybe finish off this tier 2, maybe make a high ground attempt as well. Here's the thing with CK, like you don't really see him used this way, but if it really comes down to it, you can generate illusions to kind of just run them at buildings. They do a lot of damage. They're very durable, and then you can just back off. If they can't force you into a fight afterwards.
That won't work so well with the Tinker Axe coming up, but
yeah,
definitely a way to kind of slow roll this game. I think LFY are going to maybe recognize that breaking high ground is a whole nother beast, taking these outer towers. They can definitely just take an approach where it's like, well, we can't push high ground, let's just cover the outside of your base with wards so you can't leave your base, and then we have access to farm in your jungle, our jungle, all 3 lanes. Newbee will only get whatever farm arrives at the Dire base. Not quite the case just yet. Newbee have managed to kind of venture out in this bottom lane. They're actually going in kind of an aggressive maneuver themselves. Come on, Faith, pop that Midas, bro.
SC is also just so close to finishing out this Ags. I feel like once this Ags is done, the fights do get a lot harder for LFY.
There is
Especially
a
when they don't have the BKB done quite yet.
He just got it.
Oh, he just got it.
Second.
Okay. Viper, nothing, no defensive measures for that, and he's not even picking one up unless he's going for a Manta, which could be the case.
No. Had a heart queued up for a small little while on Chaos Knight, but it seems he quickly realized, like, wait a second, there's a Tinker. You got to get this BKB. Viper, yeah, Yasha could see a Manta there to deal with the laser. May not even buy the Yasha. We'll see if he actually commits to that or not.
Smoke from LFY mid lane is Kaka, and they will go for it. Blink Burrow setup onto the Nyx. He's just the lone straggler support, tanking the gank, it looks like, for Newbee's side in the mid lane.
Yep.
And then LFY will just roll on through Newbee's turf and see what's happening. Maybe see if they can get a DDC glimpse pick off or something. Trying to roll right on through, but looks like SC and company are going to be avoiding the trouble there, and they'll just go in for the tier 2 instead. The Bog, it continues to move and shift.
This feels like a much slower paced game than what we normally expect to see out of Newbee. I feel like this is, I mean, they're still like in a position where this game's still quite close, but this doesn't really feel like Newbee in their strongest form right now.
Yeah, like they're kind of a methodical team, but they're methodical at like it's kind of like clockwork when they find kills, right? It's like, oh, cooldown's up, find a kill. Cooldown's up, find a kill. In this case, it's not. It's a little bit listless, because again, they're not really about this kind of like split push game. It's not, you know, they struggle on a patch that really favored this. It's not really their play style as a team, and so it becomes very technical for them at this point. Like, who can safely push where without dying? Who do we send to these different lanes? You know, where do we contest vision so they don't instantly see where we're going or find a gank? It's not really up Newbee's alley the way they want.
They're trying to make something happen here, and it looks like they might have gotten a grab onto Super. It's going to take a lot of firepower, though. He's got the hood
Rainbow
and a
TP's coming
Hurricane
in.
Pike. They're doing what they can, but here come all the TPs towards the shrine. They're committing the chrono on top of it. Here comes the epi combo flying out from Afu onto the backside. Lots of serious damage. Newbee frantically trying to make their escape. They will lose 2 for their troubles. KP could be next.
Oh, he's trying to backpack trick his blink dagger so he can blink out.
2, 1. Oh. No, not going to get it.
I think he had like a millisecond where he could have used it. Very tricky to do.
That is it. There she blows. Done like that. Hard commitments in to go for the finish. It's a lot to be able to get the Viper down, and it costs him a lot. With the shrine still there, there's just good access points for LFY to respond.
And importantly, the Viper was incredibly tanky and hard to bring down when they went on him. They had to use everything to get that kill. Void, let's say BKB likely going to be the solution to what happened there. He needs a way to not get demolished by that Disruptor ultimate.
No rock was committed in that fight either, so they still get to hold on to that.
Yeah, I don't think Faith was there. It was like, it's one of those really deep moves. You don't expect your Warlock to be at that top tier 2 tower. It was like just a 3-man expedition or 2-man expedition with the Tinker TPing in. Warlock was kind of on base defense duty.
Kaka, who was still hanging around from that previous fight, spotted out now, heads back home.
His item selection, I mean, Voids as well. Like, they're not going for any blink daggers on Nyx or Void. They don't care about pickoffs. They don't care about taking team fights and having good initiation. They've got the bat. He, of course, will go for the blink dagger, but very much they're just thinking late game. Aghanim's Nyx queued up. Void going straight into the BKB. These heroes are not looking at any kind of short-term items. They're playing for the long term.
So it's on LFY to put the pedal to the metal here.
Yep.
We'll see if they do it, though. They,
MKB Chaos Knight. There we go.
Oh.
Doesn't have to rely on the BKB against laser.
Stupid laser. Yeah. It's probably for the better. So they have late game preparations in order, just in case there's a lot of extra tools on the side of Newbee here. And I'm seeing Super. Does he have a Yasha? Is he going Sanjin Yasha? Wait, what's flying out? I thought he would queued up that Yasha. What's he got?
Changed his mind for BKB. Yeah.
They go roll Bickup. Lasers.
Standard. Viper. Items. Some nasty stuff. They're rolling. Bog's moving through the top
Yeah,
jungle.
Look at this. bogging around right now. They're like, we would love to take a tier 3 and take these shrines if we could. Uh-oh, SC to the mid lane. Quickly blinks back. Afu now has a blink and a force staff, so a little bit of extra gap coverage. But LFY, patient, moving around, do not see the openings they like. And little do they know, actually, they need to wait one more second. There's the Roche. Go in the pit. Nothing's there. Walk out, and Roche just trolled you.
Likely get it uncontested, I feel like, regardless of when it respawns. But yeah, I don't know. The sooner the better isn't really the case. I think they're kind of in a position where this game will have to be slow played by them. Maybe I would have liked to see LFY to pick up like a Midas even somewhere. I don't know. Like support Midas this game would have been super value. I guess Disruptor has too poor for it. Tide could have perhaps gone for Midas this game. It just feels like one of those games where you got to recognize that Newbee are going to delay the hell out of it, avoid fights, defend high ground. That's like the dream Midas game for an offlaner, a support, even a Viper. Like, I don't know. My inner greed just says they should have bought some Midases.
Yeah, when you know that you'll have time for it to eventually pay off for itself. But again, LFY may want to consider going high ground again here. They have the Aegis, of course, but also the Blink and the Pipe up on the Tidehunter, which is going to nullify a lot of the damage output coming out from Newbee. That's one thing we haven't really talked about, but there's kind of a certain ubiquity of the damage output right now. So it's all magic for Newbee, and that's going to be a real issue once they have, say, you're talking about the BKBs, the Lincolns, obviously the Pipe in this case as well, with the extra life even from the Viper. It's going to make a death ball very scary for them. They have to deal with the lanes right now, together.
We'll see whether or not they go for that Roshan you mentioned. They haven't killed it off just yet, but they are in position to do so this top lane. Tide with a few minor problems, but has the Greaves and even a shrine nearby if he really needs it. Actually, that was used, so it's going to be on cooldown now, but...
All right, phase 2 of the Bog is about to be underway, I would feel. I mean, Aegis is now going to be for their taking. The BKBs are now there for Super.
Yep.
And you probably will not go all in for the MKB yet if you're the CK, but I mean, come on. Aegis, BKB on Viper.
With Aegis, he'll buy it.
It's go time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to get to they're going to get to a point where they just have more items. I mean, this is the not so thrilling way of playing Dota when you're ahead, you have map control, but you can't really push high ground, and your opponents have the lineup where you can't pick them off. You just slowly get further and further ahead. They had like a 5k gold lead 15 minutes ago. It's now a 10, 11k gold lead.
Nice. Wait, what?
Okay. Did he?
You stunned right through him. You didn't even see him.
I think Tide's Blink was still on cooldown. Not sure if he actually got vision of that or not.
It's awkward, but
should have like given a visual cue that he actually hit him.
The Bog misses that one.
But I mean, this is the annoying thing this game for LFY is their lineup's not amazing at picking off heroes and finding them at this point, and Void, Bat, Tinker all very hard to catch because they've got escape spells, blink daggers, but they know they can't catch them. They'll bog their way to victory.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like if they don't get a pick off, I don't know how the hell they're gonna bog themselves inside the base.
Yeah, I mean this is one of those strategic games where they're playing like a game of chess where they're up by like 2 pawns and they know they're not really that far ahead, but they are ahead. So if they just keep trading pawns, eventually they'll be in a position where they're in a bigger lead and can just somehow get a victory out of that.
After 186 moves,
yeah,
I will have my first check.
Yep, exactly. It's like you take out all those pawns one by one, and then your pawns can then cross the other side, and then you get your queens back, and you're just, you've got this small lead, and you can turn it into a bigger lead. You just don't want to go for any risky plays.
Meanwhile, in a Dota, they're like, here is my priest. Let's move that in. Here's my bishop.
That's a perfect example. God, it's kind of like, because a 2-pawn lead in a chess game is pretty big, but it's not like an immediate win type of thing, right?
Yeah, this is like,
you've
surely.
Play it through until you've simplified things, and then the pawns become queens. So that's kind of what you're maybe waiting.
At least in like the amateur chess, I think the professional level chess is very different. But from my experience playing like low level chess, it's like you don't know the moves that will end the game, so you take those free pawns one by one. Find the least defended pawn, you kill it without losing any pieces, and gradually you're going to win. That's kind of what LFY are doing here, and it's going to be up to Newbee to make a big play with their queen or one of their rooks or bishops. Well, it's normally actually the Knights. The Knights are the big playmakers because they kind of dig themselves deep on the map. I feel like KP is the Knight this game. He's got to make some big plays, find some key pickoffs for them. Similarly, Mugi on the Void has a lot of kill potential. Also, this may be the GPM game for the Void. We talk about those GPM talents as far as when you want to get them. This may be the time with it. Playing for the long haul. Don't really feel like 300 health is going to be a difference maker when you're just sitting on your high ground. It's going to come down much more to initiation.
All right, we have everyone with the exception of this Tidehunter at the pushing point here for LFY. So I don't think that means they're going to be committing in for a push unless he's on expedition to try to find Tinker, split push nearby. But a good thing that Newbee been doing, they've been using Kaka a lot as this like scout.
Oh, yeah.
They put him in the lane first, he looks around a bit, and then I guess SC knows it's safe to go there and keep the lane pressure out.
They protected him with some nice wards. They've got the anti-Tinker ward as a let's protect Tinker ward.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I like that, because usually you see teams put that out there, you see them in the woods, and you manage to pick them off. Newbee are ready for it. They're like, hey, you know what? We know you're going to pop that ward down. Let's make sure we see it when you do. And give our Tinker that much more breathing room as this game trudges slowly onwards.
Nyx has been scouted at bottom and should die here, though.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the scout...
You're ravaging for a support Nyx. That's when you know the game is slowed down. They're not actually going to go high ground with the Sages. Sorry to be a spoil sport to you guys, Dakota, Jack, as well as viewers out there. This game's we're probably going 50-60.
Newbee's like, whoa, they did the Ravage. Let's go.
That's the thing. You've got this Aegis, so even with Ravage down, you're not too scared of a fight because Aegis CK is going to be a boss. It's going to get to a point where they're going to need 6-slotted Viper, Chaos Knight. They're going to want some of these level 25 talents in the late game as well. CKs this game are not... I mean, the cooldown reduction, I feel like, is going to be the way to go, although they're up maybe a BKB Void to deal with, but his 25 is not as scary as, like the, let's say, the Vipers. He gets plus 20 armor is pretty good.
Not plus 80 Viper Strike DPS?
We're seeing all these, like, supports get farmed now. Disruptor Ags, Nyx farming his straight Ags. I mean, that's a sign of a game where not much is happening if support Nyx rushes an Ag Scepter.
Just going to come together for the big one and done special. It could.
Yeah, this is a
more
one-team fight
so
kind of
for
game.
LFY. For LFY side, most certainly.
Tink has been caught.
Uh-oh, moved in. There's the rock, but the Chrono coming up from Mugi. He moves right for the Ruptor, and he should be able to get him out. BKB's now getting it popped. There's going to be the move-in Burrow play. They still able to get the trap in onto Super. They're trying to beat him down, but the rest of their team is getting pushed on back. LFY trying to take it to the doorstep now. Kaka pops his Carapace, is able to waddle himself back indoors. SC has been taken down, but LFY lose 2 for the trouble. Both their supports, but the cores, Trifecta, are going to move inside the base and go to work.
You don't have Tinker for the CK ult. That's troubling.
Yep,
they traded 2 supports, but that was definitely the core that they wanted to kill, so that worked out pretty well.
Slide on in. They're trying to get the burrowed Nyx. Kaka is out. 50 seconds, no buyback. Monet looking to go for the finish onto KP. They pull him back into action. They didn't even need a Ravage for it.
In hindsight, this Tinker should just fall back. You know, I was kind of looking at this like, oh, maybe they can defend with Nyx Ags, and I was of the same mentality as Newbee, where it's like, oh, we probably don't need to buy back this Tinker, but oh yeah, they did. The second that CK ultied, they probably should just pull back the Tinker, help clear the illusions with him, because their buildings just melted. But it's the kind of game where we're looking at where it's like this game just gets opened up by a Tinker pick. Tinker is the key hero. If you can never catch Tinker, this game will drag out indefinitely, but as soon as the Tinker gets caught and picked off, high ground we go.
They did it all without that Ravage either, too. They just got a good lead into that mid lane, chased him down.
Sanking Burrow Strike, and Tinker just kind of caught out of position.
The Ultra Initiator here.
Yeah. And the Warlock ulti, the Void Chrono, that's not Newbee really wanting to fight, it's they have to. Like, if Tinker gets caught, they just have to go in, use their ultis, and try and save him. Like, Warlock using Rock just to save Tinker and kill nothing is definitely worth it. Even using a Chrono to save Tinker is worth it.
And it looked like the connections were all pretty good, but,
yeah,
you know, LFY are just too boggy, man. You got hoods, you got pipes, you got mechs, greaves.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
They're just shrugging it all off.
And you can't run from the bog. You've got Glimpse. That was what actually Tinker got pulled back into the Chrono because right as the Warlock and Void initiated, DDC got off a clutch glimpse. If not for that, he actually does survive. So
Once you set foot in the bog, you're not just going to saunter away at will, that's for sure.
Maybe you're trying, though. Frantically, your Tinker heads to those side lanes to alleviate the pressure as best as he can. But LFY were able to get a lot of damage done in that mid lane, and that means that these shrines can now be gobbled up. So they get one of them down.
one lane of Rex doesn't really win you the game, but again, they've taken now not just some pawns, they've taken a couple rooks. They're getting a bit closer. It's much more about the gold increase than the actual. They're going in here mid lane with double Ravage.
Ooh, Faith gonna get pulled back. That's a chaotic offering. Not gonna be in the game anymore for 75 seconds. He doesn't have a buyback. Oh goodness, you're talking about a big artillery weapon that Newbee are not going to be having anymore on their defense. And this could be Rax's. Hell, this could be the game. Now there's going to be the Ravage coming out from Inflame. Finds good connection. Moogie moving in with the Chronosphere, and he's trying to swat at the Chaos Knight. But guys, I don't think he's taking too much damage there. He's actually shrugging it off, and suddenly it's the Faceless Void who gets blasted down. KP moves in, trying to get the finish of Monet, but is not going to be able to do so. Your Ravage number 2 is also going to be coming out, and it's an ultra kill for Monet. He gropes his way into a win on the back of an ultra kill, 26-8. This one is just all LFY. The Bog. The Bog! It's like an old science sci-fi film. The Bog comes. Not
Exactly,
very,
one of those late night like sci-fi channel
Yeah.
movies. It's just some
not
like,
exciting, but it's just
weird,
kind of like,
weird janky stuff going on.
You
but
see
it's
it and you're like,
yeah.
couldn't you have just walked away from the Bog? No, it's...
Oh yeah. There's like a simple counter that the third person outside, but the people in the bog, it's just much harder. It's not that simple.
The
Good
game
stuff.
wasn't like a viewing spectacle, but I enjoyed it just because like we got to fully witness and experience the bog that is LFY, and very strategic Dota coming out from them.
I'm happy someone like Super found a team that will Bog with him because he's a Bog player through and through.
It was a very technical game. I want to go back to your awesome chess analogy because it's like one of those like, they have a scenario where like you're down to a certain number of pieces. Like say you have like a knight and a bishop, and it's like mate in like 32 or 26 or something from any position. But it's like very technical, right? Like you're gonna win, but if you make a mistake, you could prolong it.
Yeah.
It could take longer. It felt like it took the full like whatever 26 or 32 moves it was to finish that one off, but eventually they did get to that point.
It felt like it could have taken longer if they didn't get that Tinker pick, but it's one of those things where with Tinker, it's inevitable. The player is going to eventually get caught. If you're not making plays and going on the map ganking them, you're eventually going to get ganked. That's the nature of it, because they're getting every Aegis, they're getting every cheese, Tide's getting Blink Refresher, Sand King's getting Blink Force. Eventually, Tinker gets caught. You can't go 60 minutes. Maybe you go 60 minutes without it happening, but can you go 80 minutes without it happening? Can you go 100 minutes? That Tinker pick is the game, and that's kind of what eventually happens. But, yeah, good stuff. Very, very methodical, very convincing from LFY.
Now they are 2-1 in MDL, and for Newbee, 1-2. So still plenty of games ahead of them to be able to change things up. But we are going to be moving on forward, gentlemen. We are the first casters in our new lobby, and we got this game coming up right here. OG versus Vici Gaming. Should be a good one. OG, I don't know if they haven't played since were they in the last series? Have they got a win yet? That's what I'm trying to find out right now.
Nope.
I don't think so. I think they're 0-2 so far.
This has got to be their best chance for a win right now, going against Vici Gaming here. But, we've already seen some crazier stuff so far. And there we'll see our updates as well. So, all right, a lot of Dota action, gentlemen. But we'll save our thoughts about the matchup in the upcoming panel. We'll cut to a break. When we return, it will be more of Beyond the Summits coverage of the Mars TV Dota League. See you soon.